The sky over the colony planet was a soft blue, the kind that made everything look peaceful. On the ground, humans went about their daily lives, planting crops, fixing ships, and walking through the small towns. Among them was Lily Thompson, a cheerful 8-year-old girl with curly brown hair and bright eyes. She loved exploring the little fields near her home and playing with the other children. Her laughter could be heard from a distance, a sound that made the place feel alive not far above. In orbit, the Galactic Empire's fleet silently approached. The humans on the planet had seen their ships before, in minor conflicts or distant patrols, but they had always kept their distance. No one expected what came next. Without warning, laser beams tore through the sky and explosions shook the towns. Alarms blared and people ran, screaming and shouting for their families. The Empire's attack was precise, cruel, and sudden. Lily's mother, Mary Thompson, grabbed her daughter and tried to run to the nearest shelter. Smoke filled the air, and the ground shook as buildings collapsed. They were close to safety when a bright flash hit near them. Mary felt herself thrown backward. When she opened her eyes, the world had changed. The laughter of children was replaced by cries of pain. Lily was gone. News of the attack spread quickly. Across Earth, people watched the footage of the colony's destruction on their screens. Families clutched each other, unable to believe that the Empire had killed a human child. The outrage was immediate and widespread. The people of Earth had tolerated minor skirmishes and small losses before, but this was different. This was an attack on innocence, an attack on humanity itself. In Washington, the Global Council gathered urgently. Leaders from every nation sat around a large table, their faces tense and grim. Among them was Captain Alex Miller, a decorated veteran who had seen many battles with the Empire. He had been summoned to report what had happened. Alex stood and addressed the council, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. The colony was attacked without warning. Civilians were killed, including a young child named Lily Thompson. This is not a minor incident. This is an act of war. The council members murmured among themselves. Some feared the Empire's power and the possible retaliation. Others felt a surge of anger, a need to defend their people. Alex continued, showing images and video clips from the colony. The council fell silent. The reality of the Empire's cruelty was undeniable. Among the council was Karen Brooks, a scientist who had spent years studying ways to protect human colonies. She shook her head, her eyes filled with sadness. "We cannot let this go unanswered," she said quietly. "If we do nothing, the Empire will see Earth as weak, and more children, more families, will suffer." The debate lasted for hours. Some leaders argued for diplomacy, for sending envoys to negotiate peace. Others demanded immediate retaliation. Alex listened carefully. He knew that humanity had a choice: bow quietly or stand up and fight. He had seen what humans could do when pushed to the edge, and he believed that they could survive, no matter the odds. Finally, the council made their decision. Earth would not bow. Humanity would prepare for war. It would not be a reckless fight, but a calculated one. They would use their intelligence, their technology, and their courage to defend themselves. The first steps of mobilization began immediately. Factories switched from producing civilian goods to war equipment. Scientists worked day and night to develop new weapons and defenses. The media spread the news, not just of the tragedy, but of humanity's resolve. Captain Alex Miller returned to his unit, feeling the weight of responsibility. He knew that this war would be unlike any other humans had faced. The Empire was vast, powerful, and merciless. But humans had something the Empire underestimated: their ingenuity, their adaptability, and their refusal to give up. He gathered his team, including engineers and pilots, and laid out the first plan for defense and counterattack. Everyone felt the anger and the sorrow, but they also felt a spark of hope. They would fight, not just for revenge, but for the survival of humanity. As night fell on Earth, people lit candles and held vigils for Lily Thompson and all the innocent lives lost. Across the planet, hearts burned with grief and determination. The death of one child had united humanity. Leaders, soldiers, and ordinary people alike felt the same resolve. They would protect their own, no matter the cost. The part ended with a sense of both sorrow and strength. Humanity had been shaken, but it was not broken. From the ashes of tragedy, a determination arose. Earth would not kneel. The Galactic Empire had made a grave mistake. Humans were ready to show what they were capable when pushed to their limits. The story of their fight was just beginning. The morning after the Council's decision, Earth was buzzing with activity. Factories had changed overnight, producing weapons instead of consumer goods. Engineers and scientists worked together in a rush to modify civilian ships into military vessels. Humanity had no time to waste. Every day counted. Captain Alex Miller walked through a large hangar filled with ships of all sizes. Pilots ran through checks, mechanics tightened bolts, and technicians calibrated targeting systems. Alex stopped to inspect one of the converted ships, a sleek, fast vessel designed for hit-and-run attacks. Its design was simple but clever, using speed and agility to make up for its lack of heavy armor. "This one's ready, sir," said Daniel Harris, a young engineer with a sharp mind for mechanical systems. "It may not look like much, but it can outrun anything the Empire sends after it." Alex nodded. "Good. Speed will be our friend. The Empire is strong, but they rely on brute force. Humans have brains and courage. We'll use both." Meanwhile, in a secure lab, Karen Brooks and her team worked on advanced weapons. They were experimenting with energy shields, precise laser cannons, and stealth systems. The scientists borrowed ideas from alien technologies recovered from earlier encounters with the Empire. Every new invention brought a little more hope to Earth. Sophie Reed, a skilled pilot, joined Alex and Daniel in reviewing mission plans. Sophie had a sharp eye and quick reflexes, perfect for navigating dangerous space battles. She studied the maps of Imperial outposts and supply routes. "If we strike here and here," she said, pointing to two smaller outposts, "we can disrupt their supply lines without putting our main forces at risk." Alex smiled. "Exactly. We need to teach them that humans are unpredictable. They can't just destroy a colony and expect us to run." The team prepared for their first missions. Volunteers were recruited from every walk of life: farmers, factory workers, students, and engineers. Each person received basic combat training, learning how to operate weapons, repair ships, and handle emergencies. Humans from all over Earth were united by one purpose: to fight back. At night, families watched news broadcasts showing Earth's preparations. People were scared, but they were also proud. Ordinary citizens felt they were part of something greater than themselves. They weren't helpless anymore. They were contributing to humanity's survival. The first small strike mission was planned carefully. Alex and his team would lead a small fleet to attack a lightly guarded Imperial outpost on a distant moon. The goal was not to conquer, but to disrupt, gather intelligence, and send a clear message. Humans would not surrender. The fleet left Earth quietly, moving through space like shadows. On the way, Alex spoke to his team. "Remember, we are outnumbered. We rely on clever tactics and speed. Watch each other's backs and never underestimate the Empire. They are ruthless, but we are human. We adapt. We survive." The outpost came into view, a gray fortress surrounded by asteroid debris. The human ships split into smaller groups, approaching from multiple directions. Daniel Harris operated the communication system, jamming Imperial signals so reinforcements couldn't be called immediately. The attack began. Laser fire flashed across space, and explosions lit up the moon's surface. Sophie Reed piloted her ship with skill, dodging enemy fire while delivering precise strikes. Alex led the boarding team, landing on the outpost to disable key systems. Humans moved quickly and efficiently, using their intelligence and creativity to overcome the Empire's technological superiority. Within hours, the mission was a success. The outpost was disabled, and critical supplies were destroyed. Human forces returned to their ships and headed back to Earth. Casualties were minimal, but the psychological impact was immense. For the first time, humans had struck the Empire and survived. Back on Earth, celebrations were muted but heartfelt. People cheered for the brave volunteers, for the victory, and for the hope that humanity could indeed stand up to the Empire. Corinne Brooks and her team were already working on improvements, analyzing the mission and finding ways to make the next strike even more effective. Captain Alex Miller met with the Council to report the mission. "The humans are learning quickly," he said. "We've shown the Empire that we are not weak. If we continue with careful planning, we can protect our colonies and maybe even turn the tide." The Council nodded, impressed with the results. The incident on the colony had sparked something powerful. Humans fighting for their survival, not just reacting, but thinking ahead, planning, and executing with precision. As night fell over Earth, the people looked to the stars. The Empire was vast and merciless, but humans were not easy to defeat. Ordinary people had become soldiers, engineers had become inventors, and pilots had become heroes. Humanity had begun to show its true strength. One small victory at a time, the part ended with a sense of hope and determination. Earth was no longer a passive observer of the Empire's cruelty. Humans were ready to fight, using their ingenuity, courage, and unity. The first steps of resistance had been successful, and the story of humanity's war against the Galactic Empire was only beginning. The sun rose over Earth with a sense of quiet determination. While the first strikes had been small, they had shown humanity's potential, and now the preparations for larger missions were underway. Captain Alex Miller reviewed reports from the previous missions. Every detail of their attacks had been studied, every mistake analyzed. Human forces were learning fast. In a training complex. Volunteers ran drills, practiced shooting, and learned how to work as a team in zero gravity. They were ordinary people, farmers, engineers, students, but under the guidance of experienced veterans like Alex, they were becoming capable soldiers. Sophie Reed practiced her piloting maneuvers, moving through obstacle courses at high speed. Her reflexes were sharp, and she had a knack for improvising during emergencies. Corinne Brooks and her team worked tirelessly in their labs. They were developing new technologies based on the data from the first missions. Improved shields, stronger energy cannons, and faster ships were ready to be deployed. Engineers like Daniel Harris fine-tuned every system to make sure nothing would fail during the upcoming battles. The humans were ready for their first major clash. Their target was an Imperial supply base on a distant asteroid. This base was larger and better defended than any the humans had attacked before. The Council approved the mission, knowing that the risks were high, but the potential gains even higher. Captain Alex Miller called his team together. "This mission will be harder than anything we've done before," he said. "The Empire will be expecting resistance, and they will fight back. But we've learned, we've prepared, and we've adapted. We can do this. Stick together, trust each other, and remember why we fight." The fleet left Earth in silence, traveling through the dark void of space. Communication channels were quiet, except for essential updates. Every person on board felt the tension. They were about to face a force that had always seemed unbeatable. But humans were not just soldiers. They were thinkers, inventors, and problem solvers. As the fleet approached the asteroid, the Imperial base came into view. Massive ships patrolled the area, and automated defense systems glowed menacingly. The human ships split into smaller groups, moving quickly and silently. Alex's plan relied on speed, misdirection, and surprise. The attack began. Laser fire streaked across space as the human ships dodged and weaved, avoiding the Empire's heavy guns. Sophie Reed piloted one of the lead ships, maneuvering through tight spaces between asteroids, while Daniel Harris monitored enemy signals, jamming reinforcements and creating openings for the strike team. Alex led a team that landed on the asteroid. Their goal was to disable the base's main energy core, which powered the defenses and supply storage. Humans moved carefully, using small explosions and clever tricks to avoid detection. They worked quickly and efficiently, showing the ingenuity that set them apart from the Empire dot inside the base. Alarms blared, and Imperial soldiers scrambled. They were surprised by the humans' tactics and speed. The boarding team moved through the corridors, shutting down power nodes and clearing rooms. Every challenge was met with creative solutions. Locked doors were bypassed with improvised tools. Security drones were distracted using sound and light devices, and heavily guarded areas were approached from unexpected angles. After hours of intense effort, the mission succeeded. The energy core was destroyed, supply caches were ruined, and the Imperial base was left in chaos. The human team regrouped and returned to their ships. They had achieved more than just destruction. They had sent a message. Humans were clever, brave, and dangerous when provoked. As the fleet returned to Earth, news of the mission spread. Ordinary citizens celebrated quietly in homes and public spaces. The victory, though small in scale compared to the Empire's vast power, was monumental for human morale. It proved that humans could fight intelligently and win. Captain Alex Miller met with the Council to report the mission's details. Charts, videos, and intelligence files were presented. "We've shown that humans can disrupt Imperial operations and survive," Alex said. "If we continue with careful planning and creativity, we can protect our colonies and build momentum for future missions." Corinne Brooks added, "Our scientists are already analyzing what we learned. Each mission makes us stronger. Every small victory teaches us how to fight smarter. We can turn the Empire's own strength against them." The council members nodded in agreement. The first major clash had changed the perception of humanity. No longer seen as weak or easily subdued, humans were beginning to earn respect and fear from the Empire. Reports from Imperial sources indicated confusion and frustration among their ranks. The Empire had underestimated human resilience, ingenuity, and determination. Back on Earth, life continued, but with a new purpose. Schools included basic defense training. Engineers and scientists volunteered for experimental projects, and pilots trained day and night. Ordinary people were learning to think like warriors, combining intelligence with courage. As night fell, Captain Alex Miller looked at the stars. The galaxy was vast, filled with dangers and enemies, but humanity had begun to prove itself. From the ashes of tragedy and loss, they had risen with courage and cleverness. Each victory, each mission, was a step toward showing the Empire that humans would never surrender. The part ended with a sense of pride and growing confidence. Humans had faced the Empire and survived, learning valuable lessons along the way. They were not just defending themselves. They were proving that humanity could think, adapt, and fight against impossible odds. The story of Earth's war against the Galactic Empire was gaining momentum, and the future battles promised to be even more challenging, and heroic. Earth had grown quieter in the days following the last mission. But beneath the calm, activity was constant. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers worked together with a single goal: to prepare for the next phase of the war. Humanity was learning fast, and they were ready to take the fight further. Captain Alex Miller walked through a lab filled with new ships and weapon designs. Engineers tested improved energy cannons and stealth systems, while programmers refined hacking tools that could disrupt Imperial communications. Alex stopped by Karen Brooks, who was examining a holographic display of an Imperial command station. "This is their central hub in this sector," Karen explained. "It controls a large number of supply routes and defense systems. If we can gather intelligence from it, we can plan our next moves more effectively." Alex nodded. "Then it's our next target. But this time, we need to be careful. We're going deeper into enemy territory, and the risks are higher." Daniel Harris joined them, holding a tablet full of technical data. "We've upgraded the ships. Faster engines, better shields, and improved stealth. We can approach undetected and extract whatever information we need." Sophie Reed ran simulations with the new ships, maneuvering through virtual space obstacles to practice tactics for evading enemy patrols. She was confident in her skills, and her precision flying was key to the mission's success. Each person on the team understood the importance of their role. It was not just a battle. It was a test of human ingenuity. The fleet departed quietly, moving through the void with careful precision. The Imperial command station appeared on their sensors, a massive structure surrounded by smaller defense satellites. The humans approached in small groups, avoiding detection and carefully planning each step. Once close, they split into two teams. Alex led the boarding team, while Sophie piloted a small squadron to provide cover and diversion. Daniel monitored enemy communications, jamming signals, and creating confusion. Their goal was to infiltrate the station, gather critical intelligence, and return without alerting the full Imperial fleet. Inside the station, the boarding team faced security drones and automated defenses. Alex moved with calm precision, coordinating his team through radios. They used distractions, hacking, and quick thinking to bypass obstacles. Every locked door or security measure became an opportunity to show human creativity. Karen Brooks had anticipated the challenges. Using her portable devices, the team hacked control panels and rerouted power to create pathways. They worked quickly, knowing that discovery could lead to a fight they might not win. Every move had to be clever, every action precise. Hours passed, and the team reached the Central Intelligence Hub. They downloaded data on Imperial supply lines, fleet movements, and weak points in their defense. The information would allow Earth to plan larger operations and strike the Empire more effectively. The success of this mission would be a turning point. Meanwhile, Sophie's squadron engaged in a careful diversion. They lured patrol ships away from the station, dodging fire and using the environment to their advantage. Her skill and quick thinking ensured that the boarding team remained undetected until the mission was complete. The human team exited the station and returned to their ships, mission accomplished. They had struck a blow, not with raw power, but with intelligence and strategy. Every victory like this strengthened morale and showed the Empire that humans were not to be underestimated. Back on Earth, the Council received the data and praised the mission. "This is remarkable work," said a Council member. "Humans are showing that they can not only defend themselves, but also learn and adapt faster than the Empire expects." Alex Miller addressed the team. "Every mission we complete teaches us something new. We've taken risks and succeeded because we work together, think creatively, and refuse to give up. This is what makes humans strong." Karen Brooks added, "The Empire relies on power and fear, but humans have intelligence, adaptability, and courage. We can use their expectations against them and turn every challenge into an advantage." Across Earth, the people celebrated in their own way. Families spoke of hope and determination. Schools emphasized teamwork and problem-solving. Engineers, scientists, and ordinary citizens felt part of something bigger. Humanity was united, and the belief in their potential had never been stronger. Captain Alex Miller looked at the stars, thinking about the future battles. The Empire was vast and ruthless, but humans had begun to prove their worth. Each mission taught them lessons. Each success built confidence. Earth was no longer passive. Humans were active participants in the galaxy, capable of striking with intelligence and courage. The part ended with a sense of accomplishment and growing confidence. Humans had proven that clever tactics, teamwork, and courage could overcome seemingly impossible odds. The war was far from over, but Earth had taken a significant step forward, and the story of humanity's rise against the Galactic Empire continued to unfold. Earth had changed. The loss of Lily Thompson had ignited a fire that no one could extinguish. Ordinary people had become fighters, scientists had become inventors of weapons, and pilots had become heroes. Humanity was ready for a decisive confrontation, an all-out war against the Galactic Empire. Captain Alex Miller stood on the bridge of the lead ship, looking at the vast expanse of space before them. Beside him were Sophie Reed, Daniel Harris, and Karen Brooks. Each of them carried the weight of the countless lives they were about to fight for. The mission was clear. Strike at the Empire's main stronghold in this sector, disrupt their operations, and show the galaxy that humans were not to be trifled with. "This is it," Alex said, his voice steady but firm. "We've trained, we've prepared, and we've learned from every mission. Remember why we fight. We fight for our people, our families, and our home. Today, we show the Empire what humanity can do." The fleet moved with precision. Human ships, though fewer in number and lighter in firepower, relied on speed, stealth, and clever tactics. Every maneuver had been planned, every possibility considered. The Empire, vast and powerful, believed humans could not challenge them. They were about to learn the truth. As the fleet approached the Imperial stronghold, defenses came into view. Massive ships patrolled the perimeter. Energy shields glowed around the main station, and automated defense systems hummed with deadly potential. The humans split into smaller squads, each with a specific role: diversion, infiltration, and strike. Sophie Reed led a squadron to create diversions. They zipped through space, dodging fire and drawing the attention of the Empire's patrols. Their movements were unpredictable, a combination of skill and improvisation that left the enemy struggling to respond. Meanwhile, Alex and the boarding team approached the station. Daniel Harris monitored communications, jamming signals to prevent reinforcements, while Karen Brooks coordinated technology hacks to disable defenses. Every step relied on human intelligence, creativity, and quick thinking. The Empire had never faced an opponent quite like this. Inside the station, the boarding team faced security systems, armed guards, and complex machinery. Alex led calmly, instructing his team on what to do at every step. Locks were bypassed with improvised tools, security drones were diverted with clever tricks, and the team moved through the corridors with precision. Human ingenuity shone at every turn. After hours of careful work, they reached the control hub. The data they gathered revealed vulnerabilities in the Empire's fleet, supply chains, and defensive strategy. This information would allow Earth to strike more effectively, crippling the Empire in ways brute force alone could not achieve. Outside, Sophie's squadron continued to engage the Empire's ships. They used speed, surprise, and clever tactics to outmaneuver the larger vessels. Even the most heavily armed ships struggled to predict the humans' movements. Humanity's strength was not just in courage, but in adaptability. The ability to think and act, where the Empire relied on rigid power. Once the mission inside the station was complete, the boarding team returned to their ships. They had achieved something remarkable. Intelligence, strategy, and precision had won the day. Casualties were minimal, but the impact was enormous. Humans had struck the Empire at its heart and survived. Back on Earth, news of the victory spread quickly. The people celebrated not just the success, but the proof that humans could challenge the Empire. Schools, homes, and public spaces were filled with a sense of pride. Ordinary citizens saw that they were part of a species that could stand tall, even against overwhelming odds. Captain Alex Miller addressed his team. "We've done what many thought impossible, but this is only the beginning. Every battle teaches us, every victory strengthens us. Humans are not just survivors. We are fighters, thinkers, and innovators. We can face any challenge." Karen Brooks added, "The Empire relies on fear and power. We rely on intelligence, adaptability, and courage. Humans have shown that these qualities can overcome even the mightiest opponent." Daniel Harris smiled, looking at the team. "We've proven that when humans unite, we can accomplish anything. The Empire underestimated us, and now the galaxy is seeing the truth." As night fell on Earth, people looked up at the stars with hope. Humanity had survived attacks, struck back with strategy, and emerged stronger. Ordinary people had become part of an extraordinary effort, showing bravery and creativity beyond what anyone had imagined. The story ended with a sense of triumph and determination. Humans had unleashed their full potential, proving that even against a powerful enemy, courage, intelligence, and unity could prevail. The Galactic Empire had underestimated Earth, and humans had shown that they were not just defenders, they were a force to be reckoned with. The war was far from over, but humanity's rise had begun, and the galaxy would never forget it.